Hi guys, it's Anne here, and today's video is a battle of the eyeshadow primers. For 10 days in September, I tested the Urban Decay Primer Potion eyeshadow primer against the Covergirl Lid Lockup eyeshadow primer. So I was testing a more mid to high-end eyeshadow primer with a drugstore eye primer. The Urban Decay eyeshadow primer is available at most retailers like Sephora and Ulta. It might be available, I think, at Shoppers Drug Mart in Canada as well. And it is 10 milliliters, and in Canada the full-size price is $32. And then the lid lockup for Covergirl is available at some retailers like Ulta. Now, at the time of filming this, I can't find this on any Canadian retailer website, which makes me nervous that it's not available anymore. So if you're Canadian, have you seen this recently in any of the stores like Shoppers Drug Mart or Rexall, London Drugs, any of your Walmart, any of your local retailers? I'm really curious to know if this is available. Anyway, from what I can gather, on the US site this is $8.99 on Ulta, so if I extrapolate that out, it's about $11.99 Canadian, which is probably likely the retail price. And this is a little bit smaller than the primer potion. This is 6 milliliters, whereas the primer potion is 10 milliliters. So the primer potion, when you price it out per milliliter at retail, it's about $3.20, and the lid lockup is probably around $2 per milliliter. Now I'll put the prices on the screen for what I actually paid for these. This came in a kit of 2, and I think I bought it at the VIB sale last year. Or the year before? No, last year, sorry. Last year. And this I did buy on sale as well. So I'll put the prices that I actually paid for and what that works out. Because it's a little bit more realistic. Like, honestly, how many of us actually pay for things full price when it comes to makeup? Both of these primers I've had open for about a year. So they've definitely been open around the same time. They've had sort of the same usage. They're probably both about 3/4 done, half done, 3/4 done, somewhere in that range. So I thought it was valid to test them both, that they've both been open and used for around the same amount of time. So neither one was like brand new when I started this testing. As you can see, both of the wands are very similar. They're both like a doe foot applicator. The Urban Decay one is just maybe like a little longer and thinner. And you can see here too that from a tone perspective, they're basically a very similar shade and tone. So here they are on the back of my hand. This is the Urban Decay Primer Potion, and this is the Covergirl one. The Covergirl one is a bit more yellow in tone, and the Primer Potion is a bit more pink in tone. From a consistency perspective, they're both fairly similar. They both have a slightly tacky feel. And once you sort of blend them, at least on my skin, they sort of blend into nothing. I don't even know if you can see anything. It's a little bit, almost slightly matte where it is. But yeah, they sort of blend into nothing. But yeah, they have the same sort of thicker, tackier texture. This video is a little long because I did 10 days of testing, and I wanted to include pictures of those 10 days and talk about those. And I also wanted to include the video footage from those 10 days. So I put it in there if you want to watch it. You can always just skip over it. I will put a timestamp down below with what my final thoughts are on this 10 days of testing. So now we'll just go straight into looking at the 10 days of photos. On day 1, I used the Covergirl Lid Lockup on the left eye, and I used the Urban Decay Primer Potion on the right eye. I used the Tarte BU Naturally palette. When I looked at the video, I felt like by the end of the day, the Covergirl side actually looked slightly better. However, sometimes it's a little hard to tell because it could be lighting, it could be eyeshadow application. Looking at the photo, maybe a little, but again, pretty minor difference, if there is even a difference at all. I think both eyes look pretty good. Looks like the shadow on the lid is a bit more worn off compared to the shadow in the crease. On day 2, what I intended to do was flip the primers around, except for I made a mistake. So I did put the Urban Decay Primer Potion on the left eye, but then I forgot to put anything on the right eye, so there's no primer on the right eye, which I felt like it was probably a pretty good idea anyway, so I continued to incorporate putting nothing on one eye at certain tests or certain days. For the eyeshadow, I used the NYX Warm Neutrals palette, which is my Pan That palette, and I used the single in the, I don't know how to pronounce this, Araceli single in Tequila. It came in my Ipsy box. You'll see this eye look come up later. I feel kind of bad that my eye looks were kind of boring in these, but I mean, this is true to life and true to every day, so I think it's a valid test. When I looked at the video, I felt like the Urban Decay side definitely looked better. I feel like you can see some sort of transfer on my brow bone in the outer corner there on the side where I have nothing, and I honestly don't know what that is. I'm assuming that's my liner. Now the liner does look better on the Urban Decay side than on the nothing side, but it looks better in the before photo too, so I guess did a poor job that day. Or again, as you'll see later, sometimes the primer helps with the application or the way things look from the get-go. Day 3, I used the Too Faced Razzle Dazzle palette, and I used pretty much all just pink shades in this palette. And I put Urban Decay on my left eye, and I put Covergirl on my right eye. So looking at the video, it's a little bit inconclusive. I feel bad. I don't know what I did on this day. I took a midday video. Maybe I just forgot to take an end of day video. I took photos at the end of day, but I didn't do a video at the end of the day. I don't know what happened on that day. However, to be honest, looking at this, I really can't see a difference. Again, maybe the Urban Decay side's a little bit worse, but I feel like it was not the best application to start with, like on my lid there. It's hard to tell. So I noticed this in some pictures. On the lid, just the way my eye is positioned, especially if it's like a sparkly shadow, it almost looks like there's a gap. It's like the camera doesn't pick up that it's reflecting something. I've noticed this on other days where I take a photo, but then I take a video, and it looks different in the video. Anyway, this day, no conclusive results. Day 4, I put Covergirl on my left eye, and this was another test where I put nothing on my right eye. The eyeshadow palette I'm using here is the Tarte Be You Naturally palette. This was the first video where I commented that I do put foundation all over my face, so days 1 through 4, I was putting my foundation on before my eye makeup, which is, I would say 80% of the time, that's what I do. And I realize nowadays I tend to sort of, because I use a beauty blender, I sort of blot some of that foundation over my eyelids. Like I don't intentionally put foundation on my eyelids, but I definitely just sort of blend over my eyes as I'm blending out the foundation. So I thought perhaps that could be having an effect on the primer and the eyeshadow. So from days 5 and beyond, I didn't do that. I always did my eye makeup first, and I made sure that there was no foundation on my eyes. Again, this is the second day where on the side with nothing, I feel like there's again a bit more transfer in the brow bone area. Now, this also could be my eye shape. My right eye is smaller than my left eye, but both of my eyes, I have very deep set eyes. My brow bone sticks out quite a bit, and my eyelid is very deep set. My eye is very deep set. So something like this, like the transfer in the past, has happened on both my eyes, particularly years ago when I never used eyeshadow primer. So I'm definitely noticing that again in this picture. And again, I'm definitely noticing that the eyeshadow on the lid definitely looks a bit more worn off compared to what's in the crease. Day 5. So we're back to testing both of the primers. I have Urban Decay on my left eye and Covergirl on my right eye. Terribly sorry. I don't know what happened to the focus on this day. I'm pretty sure the video focus is all out of focus on this day. Or there's a couple days where it's all out of focus. I am using Pure Nata eyeshadows on this day. I'm pretty sure I definitely used pewter on the outside. I don't know if it was Illusion or Darling on the inner corner. I didn't write it down, but Illusion and Darling are very similar if you watch my Pure Nata haul. So again, this is another day, even though the later photo is pretty blurry, both sides look pretty good. Both sides look worn, like there's definitely wear on both sides, but I feel like both sides look pretty good. Again, a little hard to tell because the photo's blurry. Day 6. This is where things get very interesting. So on this day, I decided to try Covergirl on my right eye and absolutely nothing on my left eye. And if you watch the video footage, I think the results are even more apparent compared to this photo. So the eyeshadow I used was Dove from Pure Nata, which is a matte gray. It's kind of like a lavender gray. It's a matte shadow. And in the corner outer crease, I used Pewter. And it's very apparent on the nothing side that this is worn off. And I was super happy when this happened because it was what I was hoping for. It was kind of, I talk about in the video segments for the face for doing the Milk Hydro Grip Primer are a lot longer because I was talking a lot more, trying to figure things out. I couldn't decide if there was actually any difference. Whereas finally, after doing, this is day 6 days of testing, I really could see a visual difference of something working or not working. And in this case, I really felt like the primer looked a lot better by the end of the day than the eye that didn't have any primer. So on day 7, I decided to do a similar test. I flipped eyes and I put the Urban Decay primer on my left eye and I put nothing on my right eye. And you'll see in this one, so I just want to say the eyeshadow in this one was similar but different than day 6. So I did use Pure Nata Dove on the lid, and I used on the inner corner the Pure Nata highlighter in Ethereal, and then on the outer corner, like sort of winged out, I used the ColourPop shade Dragonfly. And you'll even see, so some people might say, well, it looks worse before. Yes, the eye with nothing looked worse from the get-go, and I talk about this in the video. I noticed, particularly with that Dove shadow and the highlighter, I was struggling with putting it on my eye. Again, it was straight on my eye, no foundation, no nothing. And I just struggled to get the eyeshadow to stay on my eye, to actually build up on my eye. It was just not working. And the after photo it's funny. Look at that crease. Like, that eye crease is horrible. That brings me back to days in like the early 2000s where my eyeshadow was always creasing and it made me so sad. On day 8, I just used my NYX Warm Neutrals palette, and you'll see that this look is very different than other days. This is, if you use the really, really orangey colors in that palette, you can get a really different look. I think I even said in this one I used the one shade Wet, which definitely makes them, it amps them up quite a bit. It's a surprising little palette. It's, again, not the best palette. It takes a little bit of work, but you can get some really nice looks out of it. Anyway, we're not talking about looks today. We're talking about primer, and I did Urban Decay on the right eye and Covergirl on the left. Unfortunately, the photo was pretty late in the day that I filmed the closeout and took the photos, and these are all untouched photos, so I didn't lighten them, I didn't blend, I didn't change the color tone. All these photos are untouched. And again, I'm looking at both eyes and they both look pretty darn good. They look the same as they did before, or pretty close to it. I mean, there's always going to be a bit of wear, especially, I don't know about you guys, but I always find like under my eyes I get a little bit of transfer with eyeshadow or liner. I feel like my liner definitely gets a little messy under my eyes at times. Day 9. I'm not going to lie, at this point I kind of was, I don't want to say giving up, but I was getting very lazy. On this day, my eyeshadow was the NYX Warm Neutrals palette again with that Araceli Single in Tequila, which would be the same look I did on day 2. I think I got kind of lazy at this point because day 6 and 7, I had really good results. It really visually showed me what was going on. I had already been looking at previous photos, like the earlier photos, and I was noticing differences on the days that I didn't have primer versus the days that I didn't. So I kind of felt at this point, day 9 and day 10 were just to like reconfirm what I was feeling about these two primers. So again, I have Covergirl on the right eye, Urban Decay on the left. So I think that is the opposite from the day before. And again, both eyes look really good. Again, maybe a little bit of more wear on the lid shade, like the sparkly lid shade compared to the crease shade. But on the whole, looks pretty good. And most of these photos, I mean, this was back in September, so it's a while ago. But if I know myself, I'm pretty sure most of the check-ins were around 8 in the morning, unless it was the weekend, and then the check-outs were around like 6 in the evening. So that's a pretty good full day, I think. And day 10, Again, just used my NYX Warm Neutrals palette, and I flipped the primers again just to make sure. I didn't use that single, I just used my shadows from my Warm Neutrals palette. Again, I might have used one of the shadows wet to get that extra sort of metallic look. Again, really can't see a big difference. Both eyes look pretty darn good from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Are they perfect? No, but they're holding up pretty darn well. I did feel like in the video, on both sides the blending around my brow bone looks a little crappy, but that probably doesn't have anything to do with the primer. That probably is more just technique. I was probably getting pretty lazy by this point. So yeah, and some days, some days I think that's a valid. Some days I'm pretty lazy with my eyeshadow, or I just rush it, and the sacrifice in the eyeshadow is the blending when you're rushing. Before we go into the video footage, I just want to say a couple things. That this video footage is the same video footage I used for the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. So I was testing all the things all at once, and all this testing did happen in September. So it did take me some time to get around to actually filming and editing this portion of the video and putting it all together and putting it out for you. So I hope you don't mind that, this video is a bit long and the footage is from a little while ago, but this is life. I also do want to talk about, I only used like 2 eyeshadow palettes plus a couple of like indie brand eyeshadows, which after I did all the testing, I felt kind of bad about, because I was like, I should have tried more like bright colors and, palettes that were like, much more colorful and different textures. But in reality, these are palettes that I do use every day, and I think are more everyday type palettes and everyday type colors. One of the palettes was a bit more mid to high end. It's a Tarte palette. The other palette is my NYX Warm Neutrals palette, which is drugstore. And then I have some like indie shadows. So I feel like I did have a good range of shadows as well. So I thought that was valid. So anyway, if you do want to see the 10 days of video footage, I do have it here. I didn't, only on one day did I remember to actually zoom in on my eyes. So when I edited the video, I did sort of zoom in on the eyes so you could see the eyes a little bit closer. Again, it's a little bit choppy because I filmed this with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, so I tried to cut those bits out. Okay, this is just a quick intro to the testing that I'm doing. This is day 1. It is Sunday, September the 13th. I'm testing 2 things right now. I'm testing eyeshadow primer, and I'm testing, so I've got Covergirl Lid Lockup on this eye, and I've got the Urban Decay Primer Potion on this eye. I'm wearing the Tarte BU Naturally palette, which is probably not the best palette to test with right now because it's like fairly neutral and fairly not exciting, but I am filming a lip liner video, so I wanted a plain eye look. Just wanted to film an update on day 1 on the eyeshadow primer and the face primer. So the eyeshadow primer, I think both my eyes look pretty good. I'm definitely going to do multiple tests where I test with nothing, against each other, switch eyes, different eyeshadows. So today I have Covergirl here and Urban Decay here, and I think they both look pretty good. Compared to earlier, I guess we'll do a side-by-side check and see what it looks like from earlier. I feel like what's on the lid is faded a little bit. But other than that, I think the crease looks pretty good. Also, I forgot to mention the time. It is about 6:30 right now. It's approximately 8 hours since I put my makeup on. I'm pretty sure I put it on around 10:30. It's Sunday, so it's a little bit later than usual. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got the update in before the sunset, because it's setting earlier and earlier. Testing day 2, and we're testing both primer and eye primer. Primers and primers. So, kind of messed up today. Was trying to do Urban Decay on this eye and Covergirl on this eye. Forgot to put the Covergirl on this eye. So we just have Urban Decay on this eye and nothing on this eye, which I think is still a valid test. So I'll take some photos and then I will check in probably around 5:36. It's about 8:15, 20 after 8 right now. Okay, it's a quick little check-in. It's about 10 to 6 on day 2. I have no idea how things are holding up. I haven't really looked. And then on my eyes, I have the Urban Decay Primer Potion on this eye, and I have nothing on this eye. Haven't done a whole lot today, so again, I can't really tell. Looking in the viewfinder, looks kind of like pretty good on both sides, to be honest. But we'll take pictures, just to be sure. Okay, today is day 3 of testing. Again, testing face primers and eye primers at the same time. Probably a bit crazy, but Kill two birds with one stone. And on my eyes, I have Urban Decay on this side, and on this side I have Covergirl, and I'm using the Razzle Dazzle palette. So this is how things are looking this morning. So we'll take some photos and then we'll check in again. It's about 9:30 right now, so I'm starting a little later in terms of check-in, but my makeup's been on for a little while. Just a really quick midday update on the foundation. I'm definitely noticing a difference on this side compared to this side. I feel like I'm wearing makeup off here, and yeah, that's just really interesting because I think this is the VDL side, but I am noticing I feel like my bronzer looks better on this side. I have the Covergirl primer on this side and nothing. Now I did realize, because I generally do my face makeup first, and I've been putting foundation on my eyelids because I just sort of put foundation all over now, and I think that may be affecting my results. So next time I do my makeup, I'm going to do my eyes first, so I make sure that I don't have anything. I want the eyeshadow to be directly on my eyelids with nothing, because again, I feel like that might help be more true to the results. Okay, it is end of day, I don't know if this is day 4 or day 5 of testing. I want to say day 4. Let's talk about eyeshadow. So I have the Covergirl on this eye and nothing on this eye. I definitely think I'm getting a lot of transfer up here in this eye that I'm not seeing on the Covergirl side, because I basically put the dark shadow mostly just here, and hopefully you can see like it's transferred quite a bit, I think. I don't know, I'll have to see like photo comparison, but I definitely feel like the shadow just stayed a little bit better on the side that I put the primer on. So yeah, that's it. End of, I think, day 4 testing. Early morning check-in. It is day 5, and I am doing another primer test. And then on my eyes, I'm trying to remember, I think I have Urban Decay on this eye and Covergirl on this eye, and I'm wearing my Pure Nada eyeshadows, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. I think they have really good pigmentation. I think they blend pretty nicely. Yeah, I'm just really happy with those eyeshadows. So we'll take some photos and then check in later. And it's about 8 in the morning right now. Real quick check in. I think it's around 10 after 7. I think this is my day 5. It is Thursday. I think my eyeshadow looks really good. Again, I have to do a comparison, but when I looked in the mirror about an hour or so ago, it looked really nice, I thought. So, I don't know. Probably doesn't if I compare it to earlier today. We'll see. Today is day 6. I need to put something on my lips because I look dead. And Covergirl on this eye and nothing on this eye. And it's about 10:30-ish on Saturday, September 19th. So we'll take some photos and then we'll check in at the end of the day as usual. It is about 6:30, so it's about 8 hours since my last check-in. I can already see in the viewfinder that the eyeshadow with the Covergirl is definitely much better than the eye without any primer or foundation or anything on it. So I think that proves the test right there. That primer definitely helps. It's the end of day 6. Okay, this is day 7 testing. So again, testing eyeshadow primer and face primer. Sorry, little noisy puppy behind me. And on my eyes, I have Urban Decay on this side and nothing on this side. And I can tell you right now, even just applying the shadows over top the primer was so much easier than applying them on this side. I just found like they were smoother on this side. This side felt like I was working really hard, and I even feel like the colors are not popping as much. So I have Dove mostly from like 2/3, like here to here, Ethereal, which is the highlighter from Pure Nada, and then Dragonfly, which is a ColourPop eyeshadow. And yeah, so we'll just take photos and then do a check-in later today. So this is day 7. I think I'm going to do 3 more days. I'm going to do 10 days, and then we will do the results. Not looking forward to editing this. Okay, it's about 4 o'clock on day 7. It's actually Monday, September 21st. I'm checking in a little early today because I'm going to be filming and I want to take this makeup off to film a different makeup look. Again, eyeshadow, very apparent. I have the Urban Decay on this eye and nothing on this eye, and you can see it, it's obvious. So this was like the best test, or best eyeshadow to test primer with, a nice matte solid color. And yeah, I just feel like it's even transferred a bit more than this one. Okay, we're on day 8 of primer and primer testing. And then I have the Covergirl on this eye and the Urban Decay on this eye, and this is just my Project Pan palette. And yeah, we will see how today goes. Super speedy check out. Day 8. Can't tell the difference on my face. Eyeshadow looks good. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna take photos and then we are done. I think I'm getting to zit. Okay, day 9 of testing, second last day. I'm going to test for one more day and then we're done. So again, this is the primer and primer testing. I have Urban Decay on this eye. I have Covergirl on this eye. I'm quite happy with this little eye look. This is my NYX Warm Neutrals palette with that single from my Ipsy bag. And yeah, I was really happy with the eye look, which is good because not happy with the face look. Alright, I'm losing my light here. I forgot to film this earlier. It's about 7 o'clock on day 9. It's actually Wednesday, September 23rd. And yeah, you can see me in the mirror behind there. Anyway, yeah, eyeshadow test. I can't remember which side I did which side. I think this might be Urban Decay and this is Covergirl. Could be the other way around. But again, visually looking, I think my eyeshadow looks good. This is day 10, so this is the last day I'm testing the primers and primers testing. Yay, I'm glad to be done testing. Not looking forward to editing because I think this is going to be tricky to edit. On my eyes, let's zoom you in. I'm just wearing, everything is from my NYX Warm Neutrals palette. I did use I wetted my brush to do the lid shade. I've got, I think it's Urban Decay on this eye and Covergirl on this eye. No, other way around. It's Covergirl on this eye and Urban Decay on this eye. So this again will be the last test. Again, I haven't really noticed a whole lot of difference between the two visually at all. It'll be different when I go back and check the photos. Okay, this is final check-in on day 10. It is Thursday, September 24th, around 6:37, somewhere in that range. I think 6:30. Gonna lose my light because sunset's like 7 o'clock now. So yeah, we're just gonna do the final photos. The eyeshadow I think still looks pretty good, so yeah, definitely happy with the eyeshadow primers. Face primer, kind of a letdown. My final thoughts. So hopefully you can see through the photos that I talked through and the video footage that I showed that I feel like I've had conclusive results, in my opinion, for my testing. These are the same. So I felt like they both performed the same. They're not going to make it 100%, but they definitely helped improve even just the application of the eyeshadow and improve the wear of the eyeshadow. And there was no significant difference between either one of them. I did notice a significant difference if I didn't use a primer compared to when I did use a primer. And I've talked about this in the past. I did do a video on the Too Faced Shadow Insurance Primer and I had the same result. I've noticed for the way my eyes are, the way my skin is, that eyeshadow primer definitely makes a difference. I also was kind of surprised too that the eyeshadow or the type of eyeshadow does make a difference as well. So that was something new to me. I'm curious to know, do you use eyeshadow primer? Does it make a difference for you? Are there any eyeshadow primers that you use other than these two that you recommend? I would definitely be interested in trying other eyeshadow primers, but I'm pleasantly surprised I could find a drugstore dupe for the Urban Decay Primer Potion. So going forward, assuming this is still available, I will be buying the Covergirl Lid Lockup. I'm really trying to film and this little guy is really trying to get my attention. So we're wrapping up with him. This is Harley, by the way. So if you did like this video, feel free to give it a little thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my tiny little channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, stay safe, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye!